welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is the best-selling author of the famed YA book series, Iron Afternoon. He's written 7 books and 3 novellas, and they're all based on them being a prequel to Steel Dawn. It's Adam Hodgins.
The prequel to Steel. I'm so excited about this podcast. I'm tripping with my words. But the secret to writing a good prequel to Steel Dawn is it's all about the nuances in the uniforms of these soldiers. That it's essentially just like vests and dirty pants.
Yep.
But that seems to be their uniform. So that it's all about getting the uniform right for these guys.
I mean, you've written 7 books and 3 novellas. I don't want people yelling at me on the, because there's a difference. But really. I do like that your novellas, one of them focuses on the Sand People in the beginning.
Right.
And normally I hate backstories, Adam.
Okay.
But for some reason, you really found just the pathos in these creatures.
I wanted people to watch Steel Dawn and really feel sympathy for these unsung heroes. I wanted to create a whole world underneath the sand with its own, these guys were the heroes of that world, and we never really see that come to fruition in the movie.
And, a lot of them get murdered.
Heinously.
I mean, they get wiped out by the Swayze.
Yes, they do. And so what I explore in my second novella is just I
love it.
The Antichrist kind of status that the Swayze has among those people.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And then the third book is kind of like a sequel to Steel Dawn.
Right.
Wow.
It's called Steel Twilight.
And they try to get the water from them. And when they try to get the water, they just get wiped out again by Swayze.
Right. Well, because if Sand People, not to be confused with the Tusken Raiders, but if Sand People get into water, they just become mudmen, and it just turns everything bad.
Yeah, I mean, they just flop. Are they alive puddles?
Well, remember in Hellboy when that guy with the sweet nightstick swords had sand for blood?
Yeah.
That's kind of I stole that motif for the basis of those novellas. And so, yeah, water in the system really makes things just go flop.
Got it. Very interesting. Very, very. I love all your books. I'm looking forward to the 8th. I do think the adaptations that they made with Corey Feldman really didn't do your books justice. But,
no.
I mean, hopefully they reboot it. There's talk of it. So
right. I was hoping they would get Swayze's brother to reprise the Swayze role.
Mm-hmm.
But out of respect for Steel Dawn, he declined.
Got it.
And we offered him hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, and a few Subway vouchers.
Yes.
Because they would just have to fly up to. They probably have to shoot on the beaches of the Great Lakes, probably.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that's the thing here in Canada. To shoot a post-apocalyptic desert film, we've got a solid 3 weeks to get it done before the snow comes.
So it's just 15-hour days, 3 weeks.
Yeah, but then it really, you're not going to get better sand than Great Lakes beach sand.
Yeah.
But it's so rare.
I mean, it's untouched, this sand.
Yeah.
They had to stop having people put that sand in bottles because they were taking sand in bottles and taking them across the border of the States and selling it.
That makes sense. It's like the Texas snowballs.
Yeah. Take them up north and sell them?
Well, no, so this is a real thing, unlike my novella. But, and I think it was 2006, it snowed in Texas. So these kids went out and got those plastic containers for autographed baseballs.
Yeah.
So they filled those with snow and put them in the freezer, and they were selling on eBay Texas snowballs for $3,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, they were geniuses.
Did they actually sold? They actually sold them?
Yeah, no, they actually sold them here.
Wow.
It's crazy, but it's one of those things that it happened in a moment in time, and it'll never happen again, or it won't be as big the second time around. But these 2 high school kids really just made a killing selling Texas snowballs.
That's awesome. All right. So
it's also a great name for a country band, the Texas Snowballs.
Oh man, just like a outlaw country type band.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Take after Blaze.
Blaze.
You know Blaze. Blaze,
Yes.
yeah, that's an obscure one right there for you.
I love it though.
Get Ethan Hawke to play him. All right, so if it hasn't dawned on y'all yet, we're actually talking. Oh, that's a bad. I'm not punning right here. We're talking about Steel Dawn.
That was my favorite thing you've ever said. If it hasn't dawned on us.
So it didn't dawn on me that I was gonna say that. So that's why I like it even more. And this movie I'd never heard about. It's one of the Vestron video releases from the 80s. So Vestron Video released Chopping Mall, Wishmaster Warlock, Chud 2, Return of the Living Dead 2, Beyond Reanimator, Slaughter High, Waxwork, Blood Diner, Alligator, Blast Fighter. I gotta watch that. And Killbots. And so this is one of their releases. And I did not know that this movie existed. And so when I asked you, because, I picked Universal Soldier, I picked 13th Warrior. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what, Adam, you pick one. I don't want this to just be me being like, hey, Adam, like this is what we're podding about, like this is
right.
This is a pod. We're open to each other's ideas. And immediately before I didn't even finish the sentence, and you went Steel Dawn, and I went God bless you,
right?
Because that sounds like a sneeze. No, not really. Right. You just said it so fast, maybe.
It's so fast because it's so the only choice.
Yeah, and so I didn't know what it was, so I IMDb'd it. I found out that it's on Vudu for free, so I was happy. Right.
It's also on Tubi TV for free.
Oh, is that Canadian?
I don't know if it's Canadian, but it's like what I call the Walmart of Netflix.
Tubi TV?
It's TUBI, and it's just like Netflix. It's the same, but it's free. There's no cost to it. And it's just like a bunch of random stuff, a lot of sequels. Like Third Rock from the Sun is on there. Like, it's just kind of like the Kmart version of Netflix. It's hilarious.
Tubi. Well, I also, the amount of research I do for my articles, I need to know, because I can't pay for every subscription service, so I really do rely on sometimes like Crackle, YouTube, Vudu. So now I know about Tubi.
Tubi. And Tubi has like some obscure like 70s and 80s like horror films and stuff, but like all the like drive-in style movies are all on Tubi. So like I just watched Convoy last night.
Convoy
with it's based on the C.W. McCall song about driving truck.
Nice.
And it stars Chris Christopherson.
Ooh, he's a good. Yeah. I'd buy him as a truck driver.
Oh no, it's actually hilarious. It's got Paulie from Rocky in it. What's his name?
Yeah. Mergis.
No, that's Mickey. No, Mickey. Burgess Meredith. Yeah, Burgess Meredith. And he plays like a cowboy truck driver. It's hilarious. But again, it's just like, it's this kind of like, Steel Dawn is the perfect movie to be on Tubi, if that makes any sense.
What blows my mind about Steel Dawn is, and we have a listener question, we'll get to it later, but this movie, all right, so it was directed by Lance Hool, who also directed Missing in Action 2 and One Man's Hero, but he went on to produce, get this, Man on Fire, Missing in Action, Club Dread, which I love, Flipper, and The Air Up There, and the one with the dude from Australia going to L.A., Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, or in California. Right. So, I mean, this dude has really produced some big films, and the writer is Doug Leffler, who was a director on Xena and Hercules in New Zealand, and he was also a second unit director on Army of Darkness, the massive Spider-Man movie, and A Simple Plan with Sam Raimi. But he went on to become a storyboard artist for Deadpool 2, Pacific Rim 2, Tomb Raider. Then he was the head of story for X-Men Days of Future Past, Hocus Pocus, and The Quick and the Dead. So these are two men who have a very long history in Hollywood. I mean, they're still...
Exactly.
Like, these guys made this movie. The problem is, the dude who directed it, and the guy who wrote it, they didn't really write or direct much after this movie.
No.
Now, the thing I want to... Actually, I know I'm jumping into this, but I just want to say, I had a lot of fun with this movie because it has a lot of personality.
Right.
But I feel like it was written in 3 days, filmed in 6.
Yes. And
the set design in this movie probably cost $7.
So I'll say this, and I want to give some context over why I love this movie so much. But growing up as a kid in the 80s, we had like, in 89 we got Batman, and before that we had the Superman movies, but we never really had superhero films to watch and get behind because they weren't being made. And so the post-apocalyptic thing, I think, was the closest thing we got to having like otherworldly heroes that we saw.
Yeah.
So I remember watching like Mad Max and getting like really behind that. And so then this movie came out the same summer as Dirty Dancing. So this is like Swayze at his like red hottest.
Oh, red hot. I mean, this guy, he should be in big budget affair. Like big budget stuff.
And I think this as well. I think that when it comes to 80s leading men, there's a scale of action star where like Stallone and Schwarzenegger are at the top, and then heartthrob where you have like the good looking guys that the ladies like. And I think Swayze somehow is the perfect middle ground for that.
Yeah.
And so I remember my older sister and cousin renting this movie just because they also rented Dirty Dancing. Just for Swayze. And so then I saw the cover and there was a guy with a sword on it. And I was like, well, can I watch this like otherworldly movie? And as a kid, it blew me away. But going back and revisiting it, there's a lot of problems with it, but I love it anyways. I don't care about the problems. I love it anyways. Like, we could talk about the hair in this movie for 2 hours.
The villain's hair is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. No, not even hyperbole.
No, it's literally one of those, if you had a generic rock star Halloween wig, that's exactly what the hair is. It's like David Lee Roth's hair.
The main villain, so there's a main villain, but then there's like his dude that does all his main, enforcer?
Right, I would say it's like Prince John and the Sheriff of Nottingham relationship.
I really liked that enforcer. I thought he had a code, and he performed in this movie. To steal from How Did This Get Made, he made decisions in this film that are bold.
Absolutely. And I'll say this. What you said about production design and script and all those flaws are there. Not one actor phoned it in.
No, like everyone gave their 100%. I mean, I know you call him Hulk Hogan.
The budget Hulk Hogan, Tark.
But I call him Fifth Element. So Brian James, because he's also in Blade Runner, and he's in Tango and Cash and Red Scorpion in 48 Hours.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Yeah, but so Fifth Element, he really gives it his all. My problem with this movie is, it's not even a problem, because I loved every second of it. I don't think Swayze had enough time to learn how to sword fight with his plastic sword, aluminum sword.
No.
Because it's obviously
every piece of metal.
That sword. I began to think that wasn't a real sword, and he was just fighting with aluminum because he didn't want to kill people. But then he killed people, and I'm like, oh well, this is a real sword. But
instead of them like ADRing steel clashing sounds, they just ADR'd thin aluminum clashing sounds.
Dunk. I do love though that I don't think they had enough time to train him to actually sword fight. So this movie features a lot of him doing everything other than sword fighting. So he's very good at doing that sword flippy thing in a hand. You know, when you flip the little sword? He does that a lot. And he does a lot of spins. He does a lot of somersaults. A lot of somersaults, a lot of jumps, a lot of tuck and rolls. Yeah. He never has 2-3 sword clashes in one take. He'll just swing a sword, and then he'll do a beautiful roll and then stab a guy. Or he'll do like a dirty dancing move, and then he'll stab a guy.
I would say he got all the training for steel done fight scenes from the trainers of Dirty Dancing. Like, he just fights his way into the hearts of everybody in this movie.
He does. That's a perfect way to say it. He's basically if Ren from Footloose had a sword and was just running through people in that warehouse. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I will say, it is kind of a cool sword.
Yeah.
I wish it was made of metal. That could be a t-shirt. I wish the sword were made of metal.
It was so light, his sword. Right? And then he kept tucking it under his armpit. I'm like, I don't think that's the best thing to do.
No, like he would put it in a holster, but the blade would be up in his armpit. It just seemed like a very weird, but again.
It's aluminum, so.